Bienvenidos, welcome. Welcome to another segment of Caminos Culturales, or Cultural Pathways. My name is Chuy Martinez, and I'm the host of this program. This program is very, very important. I have some really amazing women here with me to talk to us about the upcoming celebration of the Recuerda Cesar Chavez Committee in celebration of Cesar Chavez, the great leader of the United Farm Workers Union. As many of you know, Cesar Chavez is to the Hispanic people what Martin Luther King is to the African American community. He has been celebrated throughout the United States at the national level and at the international level. It is many schools, streets, boulevards, community centers, including a college, had been named after him. In Albuquerque, we've been celebrating for 22 years. This would be the 22nd anniversary of the celebration of Cesar Chavez. The event this year is even more special because we are joined by so many different entities, different organizations. There's 51 organizations in the coalition of the celebration. The Recuerda Cesar Chavez committee is made out of many little subcommittees, and with me is Coralie Quintana, who is the co-chair of the Recuerda Cesar Chavez committee. Welcome, Coralie. Also with us we have the camp representative Maria Anchondo from the University of New Mexico. Yes. Camp program. And for the day of service we have Erica Roberts. And all three of them have a very defined, I guess, a very defined duty. And so we're going to start. Why don't we start with you, Coralie, so you can tell us about the overall, what's going on throughout the whole week, and then we'll have Maria talk to us about what camp is doing at UNM.
Great. Thank you so much, Shuey. Thank you for having us. And I think from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for keeping this event going for the last 22 years. I can remember the first time that my mother brought me to one of these events, and before long I was at UNM and I was helping to organize them, and when I was asked to co-chair the committee this year, it was the deepest honor to be a part of it. Cesar Chavez, the United Farm Workers Union, and the entire labor movement that I grew up with was something that just created a necessity for people to have equal rights, for people to be treated with dignity and humanity, to be able to go to work and to be treated fairly, to be able to have access to restrooms, water, a lunch break, a fair wage. In those days, it was an issue where labor was brought in, and if they were braceros from Mexico, they would pick, and when it was time to pay their wages, the growers would call immigration, and they wouldn't get paid. And so the work that Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta did in organizing the Farm Workers Union just created this mass necessity for the whole world to know what was happening in the fields with the very people who pick our food. So for us to be here and to celebrate the work that Cesar did is the most meaningful celebration that we could have. And I'm so grateful that today we have legislation that protects every worker in the United States. And we have a lot to be proud of. So I hope that everyone will come celebrate this event with us. We'll be celebrating the whole week, but the bulk of the people who will come and join us will come on Saturday. So I hope everybody comes out during the week for the events, but also come Saturday. We're kicking off with a marcha, and so we'll march at 10:30 in the morning from the National Hispanic Cultural Center. There's so many events things for the children to do, bring the whole family. I can tell you from personal experience, Cesar Chavez's mom was Doña Juana Chavez. And she was always celebrating with us. We celebrated her birthday before we started celebrating Cesar Chavez's birthday. But bring everyone in the family, all generations from the oldest to the youngest, come celebrate with us. This is a family time to really honor the work that has been done for labor in the United States.
Yep, it's going to be nice. It's going to be a nice celebration, especially because this year we decided to bring in, though they've been celebrating for a few years, the UNM camp students. UNM stands for, Maria, UNM stands for College Admission.
The CAMP program, which is where I'm from, stands for College Assistant Migrant Program.
And what's the mission of CAMP?
The mission of CAMP is to help students who have a background in agricultural work or who are children of their parents have some kind of farm working in their background, and basically they help them with the scholarship. So right now I am the daughter of a farm worker, and I am getting help with the scholarship to help me in my first year of college. I'm also getting help with tutoring and advisement. Basically they're trying to help more student farm workers and children of farm workers get to college and kind of settle in and work towards finishing their degrees.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so I understand you guys have a whole week also of activities.
Yes, we do.
And so what are those activities?
Okay, well, our activities start on Tuesday, March 24th, and that's basically kind of like a general sharing the history of the United Farm Workers, Cesar Chavez, and the struggles of farm workers, even up to date. And on Tuesday, we're going to have guest speakers in the sub-atrium at UNM. Guest speakers from around 11:30 up until 2. And then followed by Tuesday on Wednesday, we're celebrating specifically Dia de la Mujer Campesina for the woman farm worker. And we're going to have again more guest speakers from 11:30 to about 2 p.m. And Thursday, we have the Student Farm Worker Appreciation Day and the Cesar Chavez Blood Drive, which is also very important. And we're going to have, again, some speakers talking about student farm workers and the importance. We're also going to have a local band, Barracutanga, playing in the sub from 12 to 1. So that should be
wow,
awesome.
It seems like you guys have a lot going.
Yes.
And this is very, very important because not too many universities have programs like this, and
Yes.
I think it's very important that they're using those benefits. So I understand this is a federal program at UNM?
It is federally funded. It's been at UNM since 2001, I believe, and it's funded through the Office of Migrant Education.
So another very, very important person with us is Erica Roberts, as I mentioned before. I do want to go to the other name. Erica is in charge of the Field Day. The Field Day is an event also as part of this whole week celebration, where the county, the city, and many other organizations joined together to bring in children from the elementary schools. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've been busy working with the schools. Tell us a little bit about how that's going and how many students and what's happening there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chewy, for having us today on this show. Yes, we're going to have a fantastic day of service learning. We're now in our 6th year of doing this project, which piggybacks on the Marcha and the Celebración. And the idea is that students, we want to keep the legacy of the farm workers and Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta's work alive with the youngest generation in our communities. We want them to know the history of the farm workers and the continued legacy that we continue to work for equal rights, for justice in the fields, for sustainable agriculture. So the Day of Service Learning, we've reached out to a bunch of Albuquerque public schools. We currently have 330 students plus their teachers and adult volunteers who will be at La Placita Gardens at Sanchez Farm Open Space. And that's going to happen on Friday, March 27th from 9 to 1. When I spoke with the teachers this year and invited them once again to come to this event, they were so excited because they said last year it made a huge impact on their students and that they had so much fun. And so we'll be having stations, workshops at the farm for students to get sort of a hands-on experience and learning experience about farming techniques, environmental lessons, as well as this year we're going to be doing some teatro campesino. So we're going to be learning about Chicano history through theater and also through creating some murals. So I'm very excited about this day, and I'm excited that school children and teachers have been really enthusiastic about signing up to participate.
That's wonderful. One of the things that I do remember from the Day of Service is that a lot of the children that come to it, it seems to already have knowledge, because you guys also have the Legacy Committee.
That's right.
That comes to goes to the schools and and do workshops and talk to the students and the teachers about the legacy of Cesar Chavez.
That's right.
And the farm workers.
That's right. The idea is that we want students, when they arrive that day, on that Friday, that they come with some knowledge of the farm workers and the farm workers movement so that they know why they're there. And so one of the prerequisites for signing up for this day has been that our Legacy Committee visits the schools beforehand and does a presentation. So Coralie has been involved in that, as well as a number of other members of our committee. And what we do is we teach the kids about the history of boycotts and unions and pesticide use and how far we've come in the last 40 or 50 years since Cesar started organizing. And so we do that presentation, and the kids have really picked up on it. They do an art project ahead of time, and they bring that art and those flags that they've made to the actual day of service so that we can display that and so that the students have some sense that they're really engaged in a part of the day.
That's wonderful. So quarterly, there's also, well, more activities. The marcha, the march, which will take place on Saturday, right, the 28th.
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about the march is that it truly honors the marches for activism that actually happened in the 60s and 70s when there was an unfair, an unfair treatment of workers. Cesar would call a march, and so the union would march alongside with other unions and, other organizers and people from all walks of life would just show that support. So that march really signifies, the struggle of what happened, and it gives that historical sense that we're marching for a better world for our children. So we invite everyone to join us for the march at 10:30. We step off from the National Hispanic Cultural Center, and the march will go, I can't give you the exact route right now, but it will go around and return to the Cultural Center where at noon.
I think it's on 4th Street, right?
Okay,
4th to Silver and around to 8th Street. At least that's what I understood this year's map.
You are correct. I wish I had it on a map that I could give it to you because it's difficult to say. In any case, we'll march on 4th Street to Silver to 8th and back to the Cultural Center, where we'll have a large celebration with a kids' corner, with art, poetry, music, and my favorite band is going to be there. I've been following Nosotros for years. Those of us that are into the Latin dance community will absolutely have a great time. So I hope that everybody will join us for that.
Well, it's a very special day, especially because we have, everybody from all walks of life, as you said. Most of the organizations that are associated with the event are represented not just at the march, but also at the celebration. And like every year, we also have, the support of the city of Albuquerque through our mayor, Richard J. Berry, which has been very generous in supporting this event. And in the county of the Bernalillo County also had been very, very generous in their support. So it is a wonderful celebration and important. We give out those awards, the Si Se Puede Awards, or the Cesar Chavez Si Se Puede Award, and the Dolores Huerta, which is a male and a female award. And we haven't, they haven't made a decision yet. The committees, I guess, there's so many different committees. That's another thing that makes this. I really liked the way the committee and the subcommittees work, because everybody has their own little thing to do, and that's wonderful. In addition to the awards and all that, of course, we have a very important person, longtime activist, and what he's being called the last of the four horsemen of the Chicano movement, Jose Angel Gutierrez, will be here as the keynote speaker. And it is, it's the event. Even Dolores compliments the event, because she thinks that this group, this committee, it's so organized in all the events that I say we do, because I'm just on one little part of the committee, but it's great. The UNM, again, the UNM camp is this. This is, I know you guys have been participating a few years already in, helping on day of service and everything, yes. But this is the first year where you really are full-blown and also collaborating as part of this celebration. So it makes it even bigger. I know that you have also some movies that you're going to be showing.
Yes, there will be a movie that will be shown 2 days. It'll be shown on Friday, March 20th at 7 p.m. In the sub, and the movie is Food Network, Food Chains Film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it'll be showed also on Saturday at 3 p.m. I believe, also in the sub, and there will be free food available. Yes.
And of course the pachanga with Baracutanga.
Yes.
Baracutanga is another one of the favorite groups here in Albuquerque, and they're fun to dance. It's a I guess a kind of different types of music, and
yes,
but mostly dance music. And of course, this year, the Filipino cultural community will be joining us, because as we know in the history of the United Farm Workers Union, of course, Larry Itilion, who was the co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, had been kind of not forgotten, but not as given the importance that he deserves. So the Filipino community has been joining this celebration for the last few years. So this year we'll be having them here again. And one of the things also at the farm, there's also some speakers and more like the blessings of the water. I love that part.
Yes. Apparently, so part of the day of service, before we do the workshops and the experiential learning, when we welcome the students to the farm, we have some keynote speakers. In the past, we often have leaders in the community or even camp students talking about their experiences picking. I know Brenda last year spoke about her experience in the fields as a child. And so that really spoke to the students. And then before we actually get to work doing the work on the farm, we have a blessing of the tools. And so a community elder and sometimes also a medicine man from the Native American community will come and bless the tools. And often students have told us that that is the most sort of impactful part of the day that they remember later on. They really love that part. I think it makes it really special what we're doing here, that this is like a really memorable, impactful, transformative kind of a day.
Mm. Well, yeah, that's what makes this type of events or traditions. Mm-hmm. You know, there's events and there's traditions. This has become a tradition. And that's when the community embraces something and makes it their own. And that's what this the celebration has become to. It's a tradition of the celebration. The committee has done so much here in Albuquerque. You know, like the naming of the boulevard.
It's amazing.
The
growth.
Well, the monument. That was the latest one, and as I believe in 1996, also the Senate and the House, the state and the House, Senate and the House of Representatives passed the holiday, Cesar Chavez holiday. Of course, it was vetoed by the governor back then, but it was very symbolic. Mm-hmm. That so many people embrace this, all the way from the, people, the academians, all the way to the real, kind of barrio organizers, which it's something unheard of, that this has reached so much, all the way from the times when, well, you remember when the Kennedys used to come and celebrate and partake on the fasting that Cesar used to do.
Mm. I was born after the Kennedys were assassinated. Teddy Kennedy, obviously, thankfully, lived a lot longer than his brothers and definitely participated. It was the struggle for human rights, for civil rights, for rights of labor, was one of blood, sweat, and tears in so many ways. There was a battle, between the UFW and the growers bringing in the Teamsters Union. The support of the AFL-CIO was so key during that time. And one of the beautiful things that the Recuerda Cesar Chavez Committee has done, and in conjunction with UNM and the UNM events, is that on Thursday, March 26th, there will actually be a Cesar Chavez blood drive. Mm. And I think what a beautiful way to honor that struggle is that today we could still give blood and give life to those who need it, to those who support those who are in need.
Yeah, and what makes it, to me anyway, what makes it very, very special is that it's such a peaceful. He did it in such peaceful means. This wasn't like a real radical kind of movement. This was more like it was a non-violent, peaceful movement. It's what made it so special, and I think that's what impacted so many people, because it wasn't, you didn't have the riots that a lot of these movements had created throughout the civil rights movements. And I'm sure that that the students, especially the young ones, will be learning about that, because that's one of the things that we need.
And if I can interject what you're saying, for those of us around the table who were old enough to remember Cesar Chavez and the farm workers movement, it might be, imprinted in your memory. But I have to say, I was teaching high school about a year back, and I talked to some of my students about, do you know who Cesar Chavez is? Do you know who he was? And most of them didn't. And it surprised me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this isn't that long ago. And so to me, like, this is really important because we're keeping his memory alive, what he did, and also to apply to their lives today and the current struggles that we have as young people today in the community. We have plenty of struggles that for equality as well as in labor. And so for them to hear these stories and get inspiration from it and pull from it, I think is so important.
Yeah. Well, and not only, like you said, in that area, but also students need to understand every time you sit down to eat, where does this food come from?
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, and be grateful for that. I know that in my private, you know, meditations, I always give thanks for that. And I think young people need to remember that because a lot of them don't even know
That's right.
that, you know, these are harvested by real hands,
Real
and,
people.
and
Yeah.
not only, you know, hands that and the sweat that people go through.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing event. I hope that you joined us on that day. I'm going to be your MC for that day. In addition to all these events, we have the blessings by Olin Xochipilli. We have Ballet Folklorico, mariachis. The two poet laureates, Jessica Helen Lopez, the city poet, Albuquerque poet laureate, and Levi Romero, the state poet laureate, will be joining us, along with the keynote speaker, Jose Angel Gutierrez. The whole committee will be there. Come and join the event. You can call for more information, the 246-2261, right? 246-2261 at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. This will take place on
March 28th. Don't miss it.
March
10:30 a.m.
All right. And camp
March 24th through the 26th in the sub-atrium.
and day of service.
March 27th, Friday, March 27th, from 9 to 1 at La Placita Gardens at Sanchez Farm.
So there you go. For Caminos Culturales, or Cultural Pathways, my name is Chuy Martinez. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.